First of all, Kevin, it's always good to hang out with you. It's always good to see you.
Likewise.
So, in fact, we got to have dinner last night, which always makes me happy.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious. I mean, you guys are in this space. You're a bit innovative. You're doing new things. You're taking data. You're doing different things with it on behalf of companies. But I'm curious as to what you're seeing in innovation because, maybe even pre-COVID and during COVID, there was such a dramatic increase in the idea of leveraging technology in this industry.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that has, if you feel that has softened or changed and where you see innovation and at this moment in our industry.
There are a couple things that are maybe going crossways from on the technology front. There's certainly a sense of newfound desire to actually implement some of the technologies that are out there. We've seen a lot of companies switching their TMS, right? So that's something that's certainly taking place in the market. So people are looking at their fundamental systems and beginning to start changing them to keep them up to speed, up to par with the technology that's out there. So there's investment going into their systems, and we're seeing that too with people asking us about different ways to integrate systems, new systems coming on board, but they have some legacy applications that they want to have bridged, and that's one place where we fit in. Well, I've also felt some skepticism, right? So there's certainly, and I read about it maybe on LinkedIn, but it's certainly a common thread that people are a little, I just call it skeptical about whether technologies that have come out of the COVID period, the pandemic period, younger companies, maybe like a Splice, but others, whether they're delivering the value that was expected of them. And that could be applied both to bigger companies, so as well as smaller ones like Splice.
Right. So so Cargomatic, we are a tech-forward company. We're not a software seller. Yes, we have our own proprietary TMS, which was developed to deliver a better solution through use of our TMS. But we're not out there selling the TMS, so it's a little different. It's almost like we're proving the case by utilizing the TMS so that the end case is a more reliable, transportation service.
Right.
And maybe that's how companies should be looking at the deployment of their TMSs or whatever software they're using. How do they use it, and what's the end result? Because it's not going to solve everything.
Right. That's right. So some of the skepticism may come from people making rash decisions, and they bought some sort of software or system, and then it didn't come through the way they wanted to. So we're getting a lot of smart questions, maybe smarter questions about the ROI, how it works, how things need to integrate. People are coming forward with better sets of requirements rather than, hey, I need this solved, right? And all right, we can do that for you. We may have done that. Others may have done that for them, but now they maybe have paused and they say, okay, this is what I need to get done. So we're seeing a lot of companies with roadmaps, might begin with the TMS and then it builds from there. We're working with a company right now that they're a small company, but they got their whole roadmap laid out, right? And it's beginning with yard management and then TMS system, WMS system. Splice is helping connect all of those pieces together to build the ecosystem they want. But it's, I think it was a good example of maybe the savvier, more sophisticated purchasing practices when people are thinking about technology.
Gotcha. So when I look at what Splice does, where you can integrate systems, and I look at, say, like a Cargomatic. So we will do, and it's so old-fashioned, but we'll do EDI connections with people with transaction sets because that's what they want.
Right.
But we also have other customers who want a deeper integration. I assume that's where like a Splice could come in on behalf of that customer and say, hey, you want to utilize all the product that Cargomatic offers in terms of visibility and other pieces to that customer, but you want it to integrate into your system so Splice can sort of sit in the middle and put them together.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. So it's that sort of workflow automation between disparate systems that that is kind of the secret sauce within Splice. And even other products we have like Splice Exports, which tracks receiving dates for exporters across North America, because of the source data coming from terminals, carriers, is so different how they publish and share that data. So you need something like Splice to be able to make it kind of harmonize it all together.
Gotcha.
But we see even companies that are seemingly more sophisticated come back with, hey, I do need this in EDI, or I need it in a flat file, because they're the logistics department within a corporation where logistics is not the only thing they do, right? They're usually producing something else. So they don't get to change the ERP and what works with the ERP, but they're looking for something that can connect out and still manage, take advantage of the new technologies. So they kind of have to make things fit within the corporate system, whatever that system may be, but the system of record for their orders, for their inventory. And so people are still challenged by the compatibility between both their internal systems and external. It's still a fundamental problem in the market.
So what do you think, so asking you to think into the future a little bit, just into the next year,
Okay.
What do you think is going to be, is there a piece, is there something innovative, technology or otherwise, that's going to be the massive thing, let's say, in the next year, or that most companies are looking for or need, whether they know it now or not?
Yeah. So of course, hard not to say AI.
Okay.
But I think AI might be pushing people to see how far behind they really are, right? So when you're using just, ChatGPT on a daily basis of, rewriting an email or a letter, or
Although I hope AI is more than that.
it's more than that. It is certainly more than that. But I mentioned this very basic process because it just reveals how far behind their systems are. So AI, they might not deploy AI, but they're being pushed because they know that AI might be used by others. So they need to upgrade their systems. So what's innovative in the future, I think it's going to be, it may not be AI, but it's going to be, there's pressure, right? So it's creating pressure on them to make changes. Fundamentally, what's going to be the big thing in the next year? I think, I could say, I kind of think it might be moving to places where they can take advantage of the data sets that are out there. So if you can't use AI, let alone BI, unless you have a good data set, something that's normalized that can then run the analytics on top of it, answer your questions around your supply chain, whatever metric that may be. So I think in the year ahead, people are going to be looking at, how do I build the foundation that allows me to do more advanced intelligence, if that's just the business intelligence of metrics and analytics and algorithms, or AI, which is, can go way beyond that.
Excellent. Well, we will sit in suspense and see what happens and how AI starts to make major changes in this industry. But I'm just curious. I mean, here we are, sort of halfway through the contract season, if you will, and I'm just curious as to how you see the sort of the shipping year to date, and how you see it maybe going forward.
Well, it certainly had its ups and downs, right? So one thing that I've been paying attention to is kind of the difference between the shipping market and the trucking market, right?
Okay.
So we've certainly had a lull on the trucking side. We see that with some of the data that flows and customers at Splice. Meanwhile, shipping is on the ocean side had been pretty robust. It seems like it's been pretty strong, good rebound.
And you guys really do see the data, because that's really what the business is about. So as you sit there and you kind of parse through it a little bit, try to make heads or tails. Do you have an understanding as to why trucking what you're saying, I think, is that trucking is lagging the ocean side.
Yeah.
You have any sense of as to the why? You see where those holes are?
I think it's pretty. I could only really kind of provide some conjectures there on what those are. I think when we look at the export side, there's certainly there's slow growth on the export side, right? So that might be part of the problem. The other thing is that it seems like the amount of warehousing capacity has seemed to balance out. So there might be just less trucking requirements domestically. So,
well, except I would argue, or I'd ask, that if imports are up, so why wouldn't there be even a greater need? And perhaps if you were a warehousing company sitting here having the conversation with me, you'd be talking about the growth in the warehousing space at the moment.
Yeah.
So that means more inbound cargo, which would suggest more drayage opportunities and more final delivery too, depending on where you are in the chain.
Well, I seem to recall rail's been pretty strong as well, right? So there could be some movement, shifting of modes, right? So more rail taking some of the drayage, so that keeps, and then so much of U.S. production or consumption is also domestically produced. There's a fair amount, so there could be some softness,
some imbalance there.
Manufacturing and other creating slack in the trucking market.
Anyway, Kevin, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, it was fun.
Awesome. Thanks.